Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, wherever you are and whenever you are watching. Thank you for checking out this special edition of the Tuesday Tirade Entertainment Talk Show. This one is pre-recorded. I'm doing it today with my buddy Mad Martigan from MadBarber Entertainment. This is a special edition and an opportunity for us to talk about entertainment stuff, which is not what we do over on his channel. So how's it going, Matt?
Doing excellent. I will not match your energy. I refuse to. That is way too much for me.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Yeah, I wouldn't have expected anything more from you ever.
True. Yes. No, but this is not something I normally do on over on our channel. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I've been there a few times, just a couple times.
True. Yeah, and we love having you over there. Well, Kip and I do. Barber, not so much, but for Kip and I really enjoy your being there. So
hey, and I have a lot of fun. Plus, we now have a huge following in the UK. We have an entire cricket club that watches us for the Street Smahtz shows. It's amazing.
They only watch one part of the show, but yeah, we're winning them over one segment at a time. I feel like
that's right. Well, yeah, that's right. And you guys should be checking out Mad Martigan's channel, MadBarber Entertainment, for Kip's Bits. Kip's Bits are going to be they're going to win the internet.
They've won over cricket.
All right. Well, as I said, this is pre-recorded, so we're actually just going to talk about some stuff that's kind of at the forefront of a lot of people's minds. The upcoming fourth phase, or the kickoff of the fourth phase of Marvel, because very soon we're going to have the release of Black Widow. We're going to have Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, where the Eternals are going to show up for some reason. And, you also have Venom, which isn't obviously made by Marvel directly, but it's part of Marvel Studios. It's made by Sony. So there's some weird stuff going on there. Yeah, go ahead.
But there could be some type of tie-in, because with the coming back home or never been home, I forgot what it was called with the Spider-Man.
No way home.
No way home.
Yeah.
That is going to be tying in the Sony Spider-Verse into the MCU, and Venom, I think, is technically a part of the Spider-Verse.
Yep.
So it may end up actually being tied in, and I mean, the more Woody Harrelson we have on screen, the better. I love the look of what he's doing with Carnage.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Woody Harrelson's great. I mean, here's somebody that, he, for such a doofus that he played on Cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a brilliant actor. I mean, in everything that you've seen him in, he's able to do everything. He doesn't get enough credit. Now, he's a lunatic in real life, but as an actor, he's very talented. Right.
Well, I think most of the great actors are kind of cuckoo bananas in one way or another.
Yeah, well, he wins on. If you were writing down how can I be more cuckoo bananas, it would be. It'd be act more like Woody Harrelson, and you're good. You're good.
Kingpin is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh, dude, we used to get together. There was a group of guys that we used to get together regularly, and we would always go see a film or go to a bowling alley, or just kind of like a men's club kind of a thing, and we went to go see that all together, and it's the only movie I've ever had to leave the theater because I was like, that was not okay. I need a minute.
But like in a
I
good
need a
way,
minute.
or like you're like that was
No,
really
that was so foul. There was there are two moments in that film that are terribly foul. One of them was just like, yeah, and I was younger, right? Because that film came out a
okay, yeah,
very long time ago,
yeah.
and I'm like, that's just, uh
I'm not recommending anyone watch it because I do not know if it holds
no,
up. Like I don't know if it's gonna
no,
hold up at all. But
it's just, I mean, I still right now, I'm like, every time I've watched it since, I'm like, it's like I'm trying not to yak. It was
I
just
can't
awful.
remember the last time I saw it. Yeah, no. It.
Yeah.
By
Mm.
the way, Randy Quaid, man, what happened to him? I haven't seen him.
You know, he's
In a
of the
minute.
Quaids. He's again the most cuckoo bananas of the
He
Quaids.
is, yeah.
Yeah, he did not get he didn't get the grant that his brother did in the in the attractiveness category, but he's a great actor. Great
Certainly
actor.
not. Like, yeah, I mean, you
The
can't think.
Bridges are the same way, right? You know the Bridges.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Don and Jeff,
yeah. Jeff Bridges.
and yeah, Don, the other one.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Wait, no, Don, yeah, the guy from Miami Vice, right? That's Johnson. That's Don Johnson. Don Johnson. Underrated. Don Johnson is.
Yeah. I wow, I feel like I just played not 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon all there. I'm trying to figure out how did we get from the well, where did we get anyway, back into the Spider Verse. Oh man. Frozen? Who was in Frozen?
I thought you
Don
were
Johnson?
frozen. Yeah, no,
Oh.
because you were in shock of my Don Johnson talk. He's a good actor. That's all I'm saying. I really enjoy him over in the Z Craig Zoller movies, Bone Tomahawk.
Yeah, well,
Kung
Don
Fu.
Johnson's a ridiculously amazing and wonderful actor. Please, yes,
Yeah, he
absolutely, yeah.
really is. Like,
He is he's good. I mean, and again, I mean, we unfortunately had this conversation during one of the Sunday Culture reviews recently, where we were comparing the film Miami Vice, which is meh,
terrible. Yeah, you were
to
on the side of the film, was surprising to me.
no. I
Right?
said it was meh. I said
Oh,
the series is amazing. It's excellent. And then they had to
who
make a
directed the
film.
movie? Was it Michael Mann or was it uh the one that did Man on Fire? It was one of those guys, right?
Yeah, and I don't know necessarily that it was. It wasn't. It was that it was trying to tell the story a different way.
In a
Um,
very serious tone, like
yeah, there was. Yeah, yeah. Whereas
a
you
lot of
had
handheld
some.
work, fit like that with that film grit to it or whatever. Like, ooh,
Yeah, yeah, shaky cam.
yeah, I hate
Yeah,
shaky cam.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. There's certain
That's
people you can thank for that stuff. By the
yeah,
way.
Snodgrass, right? The one that did the Born Identity movie, the second one, right? That's when he really got into the whole shaky cam
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, and then you're like, oh man, and see, and that's the thing. I mean, then you get like every once in a while you want to be an auteur, and so you start to freaking throw up Dutch angles and stuff in the midst of like, you're like,
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm doing a superhero pilot for Fox. Let me do let me do everything
oh
through a Dutch angle.
god, oh, you can't believe you subjected me to that. If you
Yeah,
guys don't know what we're talking about, over on MadBarber Entertainment Channel, we do a show called Street Smahtz, and we broke a pilot, right? This was a television pilot up into three pieces. From it was called, it was Marvel, it was
Generation X.
X-Men. Yeah,
Generation X.
from X-Men, right? And it is number one, awful. So I'm not surprised Fox didn't go, hey, let's
Oh,
make a show out of this. And two, I don't think there's one straight shot scene in the entire film.
I don't think so either. And everything was like lit. Like there's just nothing was in the background was lit. It's just always like
It was lit by Ed Wood. It was like,
yeah,
yeah. And everything's like, overexposed at the camera, and
yeah.
the background's just, gone because it's just so poorly lit. Yeah, it was. Oh, anyway, back to Marvel because X-Men, Marvel. We
Yeah.
can just circle back. Yeah, I just did a Pataski or whatever that crazy lady's name is. Anyway,
Oh,
yeah.
I got it.
Marvel. Well, yeah. So yeah, No Way Home. So yeah, I think you're right. I think they're going to tie in Venom finally into this, And you know what? I'm okay with them, Sony and Disney, getting married on that because they each have control of these characters, and they can share them back and forth, and maybe that'll help the MCU along. But I think they're stumbling into Phase 4, and I made a video about that, and I was just curious because you are very opinionated on some of that stuff. What do you think? Where do you think this is going?
I mean, I think one, I'm completely okay with the direction that they're going because Endgame was the end of the MCU for myself, and I think most people.
Most
So,
people,
yeah, if they want to just go as far left with a lot of these ideas, like okay, that's cool. One,
yeah.
that's going to provide a lot of content for a lot of our friends here on YouTube, which is
Oh, and me,
fantastic. Yeah,
and me, yeah.
like I cheer on Geode. I will always be a Geode sexual. Please, because at this point, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't have any real faith in that they're gonna be respectful to the source and to the fans and what the majority of people actually want out of these films. So yeah, that hope is kind of gone at this point. So now I'm cheering on it to be even crazier, like
Even
make it
worser,
worse. Yeah,
even
make it
worser. Yeah.
yes. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for a point to where I actually do one of these shows where I talk about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, get me to that level. I'm on board with. But the
Wow.
Eternals look fun though. And I have no questions about where they've been.
There, I fixed it. You're supposed to be on that side.
Oh.
The guest is supposed to be featured there.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
yeah.
I mean,
but no, but okay. So I have a question about the last statement that you made.
yeah.
What?
No, listen. I guess I was late to this joke. I made an ancient alien joke after I saw the trailer, but I didn't wake up till 3 in the afternoon. I guess everybody else made that joke. But because like it literally sounds in like feels like an episode of Ancient Aliens on the History Channel, like because they started the civilization and they were there and somehow
they never interfered.
Like, never,
not once.
I don't know why they continuously put themselves in a position where they're from the negative. They're always having to work themselves out of these corners that they purposefully put them. There was no reason to say that in the trailer because now you're going to have to explain where they've been throughout this whole thing. You know what I mean?
But they interfered all along. That's the other thing. It's like, well, we never interfered. Well, except they're going to show you where they interfered all along. See, and it's bad writing. I mean, we can joke on them, right? The meme is that writing has suffered greatly over the course of the last 5-10 years, right? But yeah, I mean, I think Eternals is a dumpster fire for a lot of reasons, right? Number one, because those of us in the United States, we tapped out after Endgame. And they're going to see that reflected in Black Widow's box office and premiere access numbers on Disney Plus.
I feel bad about that one though, like because again, I'm not telling you something you haven't already heard, but I'm not the biggest fan of female protagonists. Can't relate to them. Just can't. I I think that her solo movie is way overdue. It should have came out 2 phases ago. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have seen it, but I still think it should have.
I would have seen it if it had come out somewhere after Winter Soldier and before before Endgame, it would have been perfect. Like they could have there's a film I think that's in there that was superfluous. Mm-hmm. Right? They could have just eliminated.
Well, there could have been a lot of things that they could have done with Shield. In her being the main focus,
the main focus,
right in between one of those films, because once you hit in even Age of
Infinity
Ultron,
War?
Age of Ultron changed so much though, like that was no longer an option really to do like the type of movie that I'm talking about.
But the reason they did that was to get as quickly as they could to the stuff that's being written in the comics now that nobody's buying.
Yeah, because like I tell you what, like it's really hard to get people to buy on prequels to begin with because you kind of know where the story is going to end for the most part. But to do it for a character who is dead in the universe is like, oh wow, you're asking a lot from people to not just care about a prequel, but one about a character that no longer is alive.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right.
Bring her back somehow. I don't know.
Well, there's nobody's ever really dead in the MCU,
Which
and
has always been one of the biggest problems with it. There's no like real stakes
well,
to it.
but see, there were stakes, right? We had some
Mhm.
stakes, and to date, I mean, some of these stakes are significant. But here's the thing: all you had to do was go back in time. If you have these time traveling suits, you go back in time and you cut off Thanos' head before any of this starts.
Yeah, they did a lot of listen. No, well, no, okay, I'm gonna give them this, right? Because I'm big into time travel. Like
Hmm.
the grandfather paradox ruins almost every time travel movie. 12 Monkeys actually does a pretty good job with their
I really did enjoy 12 Monkeys.
so good. By the way, Brad Pitt hates that movie. He hates his
Really, he
his
did
role in that
so well.
movie.
Between
I
him
thought
and
he was
Bruce
great.
Willis, I was like, you guys are ridiculously good. And you know what? That was one of the last pure acting performances I think Pitt did. You
Really?
know, yeah, because even like he started playing caricatures of himself
Okay.
at times,
Hmm.
like in the Oceans films that he did with Head Tilt guy
You mean
Clooney.
the like home footage from their vacation?
Yeah,
I mean, like I wasn't expecting much from him.
they made a lot of money. Those
Yeah, they
films made
did.
a boatload of, and they were so popular that they tried to use a bunch. They tried to reboot it as chick flick thing and didn't work.
Well, I mean, like I don't know I don't know why they're so stuck on this idea of I mean, I know it's equity, but like rebooting everything, like taking already
It's not equity.
established. No, well, yes.
It's willful. It's willful destruction of the myths in the United States. It's tearing down our cultural touchstones. They're trying to further divide us, right? Their goal is a monoculture, and the only way to do that to get in to have the United States fall in line with stuff is that. But we don't talk about politics on
Yeah,
this
yeah. We're
channel,
not gonna talk
so
about
yeah.
controlling the meta
No,
narrative. I could, but I'm
no,
not. And
no.
don't come to my channel expecting it either. But as far as Brad Pitt, I'm a huge Brad Pitt fan. I
Yeah,
love his role in Legends of the Fall
yeah.
as Tristan. So good. Seven, amazing. By the way, did you know Seven could be a prequel to Batman? It made like so if
What's in
you
the
read
box?
no, if you rewatch it, they never say what city they're in, and there's just a
That's
lot of
true.
little things throughout that you're like, "Oh, this could be Gotham
It could
before."
be. It actually could be. No,
Yeah,
you know what? I like that theory. It would explain a lot.
yeah, is
Yeah.
just a great
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. I mean, talk about a mystery box.
That's a mystery box done well. If JJ's gonna steal anything, he should have done it from there. But oh
Yeah.
my
Oh,
god,
hey, the mystery box paid off. Your McMuffin is served hot, and
yeah.
something came about it.
About mm, there was a chicken nugget with it too. For
Mm.
oh, what were we talking? Marvel. So with the Eternals, I have no interest in watching that at all. Um, really hard getting past that. So and oh, Black Widow. I'm sorry, we were talking about Black Widow. I guarantee I have sources like there is some other people, but like I'm telling you right now, Taskmaster is going to. There's going to be a gender swap there. That comes from a really reliable source I have in the network.
Well, that's not even the biggest concern in that film, right? I
Mm.
mean, they're massive shifts in characters, right? And they're trying to get Florence Pugh to replace
W-
ScarJo. You just can't do it.
Like they're treating her like I should know her, but I don't know this person.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I don't know
Well,
where she
again,
comes from,
but
but
yeah, but see, they tried to do that too. I mean, look, a lot can be said about Katie Heigl, right? Um, Kathleen Heigl.
yes, there is.
Yeah, yeah. There's a
Oh,
lot that,
Grey's Anatomy.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot that can be said about her. They tried to make her a big film star, and
Yeah,
it
they
wasn't
did.
her fault. It wasn't her fault the way they were marketing her. She could have been a big film star. She's apparently a very lovely person, according to Cameron Pasha. But
Oh,
she also got a reputation for being kind of difficult. And I'm like going, I can't imagine that because everybody who's ever worked with her has spoken quite highly of her,
mhm.
including Ashton Kutcher, right? So it's weird, and she worked with Gerard Butler as
Yeah.
well, and some other. Yeah, she worked with a lot of really up and coming stars that have always spoke very highly of her. So I know audiences got turned off to her, but I think it was more about bad marketing than it
I
was her.
Yeah, no. So I think a lot of it. So there was a lot of fallout from the Knocked Up movie. She took a stance actually in a lot of ways against the movie itself, and I think that's where a lot of that generated from. It's been years since myself and probably most of the people have thought about her or anything she's been in, but I do remember there being some drama about the Knocked Up movie, and her when she was
Well, I
on the
mean,
press tour for it.
wasn't that a Seth Rogen bologna
Oh yeah.
sausage
Oh
vehicle?
yeah.
Yeah, and he's such a paragon of virtue.
Oh boy, and is yeah, he's an interesting guy, man. Love to see his loyalty to his friends. Friendship, loyalty.
Yeah, yeah. There's he's one of those consequence culture kind of dudes, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking we're gonna ship you to North Korea. Enjoy those consequences.
I still love his movies though. Well, most of them. Like I really enjoy a lot of them.
He's been in 2 films of any significance: Pineapple Express
That was good.
and Zach and Miri Make a Porno, and everything else in between is just trash fire.
See, I like that one less than I really like the interview. Like I do. I'm sorry, I do. And no, like a lot of his movies. I even like that pickle movie that he did on HBO. It wasn't nearly as bad. I thought there was actually a nice medium there between because he fell in a thing of pickles and was like not pickles but cucumbers and like how that works and then
I don't even know what you're talking about. So it must have been real popular.
It was on HBO Max, right? And it was basically
like
a man out of time. Like he was from like the World War One era or whatever, and then comes back in his modern time, and he connects with his great grandson or whatever. Anyway, and that's the connection there, right? So it's him, becoming used to the modern. But I thought they actually did do a pretty good job of balancing it to where, hey, no. Like you're not really a man at this point. Like you're too weak. Like this isn't manhood.
Sounded like a live action sausage party there.
No, it wasn't though. I mean I think it was better than what most people.
I'm just teasing. So anyway, yeah, he's a knucklehead. But yeah. So wow, we got far afield. So Phase 4 of Marvel.
Oh
right.
Yes.
So what's your genuine opinion? Because you always deflect with humor of the Eternals' future.
Not well. I think that they clearly are banking on it being a big hit in India.
Because of the Bollywood scenes.
Yeah. Guess what Americans love? Amazon. Like I wonder in India when they go to Amazon Prime if they are given like just a massive amount of American made movies when they're looking for Bollywood movies, because when I go it is like 50. I know when I'm like, oh, there's nothing else I'm interested in because like then Bollywood. And there's like,
yeah, well,
60.
that could speak to other members that have access to your account.
No. Well,
okay. Because they use a logarithm just like the tube does. So
yeah,
if you watch one thing, you will forever have that in your thing. So if you watched basmati rice or whatever it was that the plank of wood was in, basmati blues, that's what it was.
Listen,
with the cheese lady, what's her name?
What, the Brie?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, Brie Larson. Yeah, she was in this. Yeah. She doesn't want anybody to see that film, and according to everybody, it's the only film that they think she acted in, other than maybe Scott Pilgrim.
Wait, don't they also give her the Room? Was she in a Room? Was she in a movie about a room? I don't know. She's the only actor to make me retroactively hate things. I booed out loud at the screen when I saw her come on Community. Out loud. I was by myself, but No, yeah, but the
So,
whole India thing, like I think there is at some level, I think there is a knowledge that they have that like, okay, we're kind of cutting our legs out from under us with where we're going with the property. So I think they genuinely are trying to like, well, we still want this to happen, but like, to make up kind of for that lost revenue, they're
leaning into an
yeah,
Indian
leaning in.
audience. Yeah, but
Yeah.
here's the thing. That would mean they knew that Chloe Zhao was going to be a problem, which
Mhm.
I don't think they knew when they hired her. I think they were trying to expand their reach into India. But like I said, I mean, to be honest with you, I have no interest in the Eternals. I
Mm-mm.
think, and like you said, they painted themselves into a corner. So, narratively speaking, it was going to be a trash fire. And on top of that, it is the perfect film to release during the month of June. You know,
Oh, wait, is it
um,
releasing this month?
no, it's not. It's in
Oh.
November, I think. But
Oh.
if you were going to market it, in the most pandering way possible, as
Yeah.
because that's Disney's, wheelhouse. I mean, obviously,
Well, I mean, it
then
depends on what region they're in.
no, that's true. Yeah, they have a rainbow in the United States, but other places not so much. There's no rainbows.
I think that's
Uh,
also another reason why they're leaning into India is because they know that with this, they shouldn't even bother trying to put it in certain countries that, you know what I mean? That normally they
mm,
could just airbrush someone off a poster or cut out
or
a little bit in the back.
shrink
Yeah.
them, or make them
Shrink them.
appear in their uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think more and more people are becoming very aware of the crass, craven, other things that Disney does. I mean, we're not even having to call out some of the stuff now. It's being done by others before we get a chance to.
It, I mean, I think Skittles did it the best. I don't know if you saw that.
It was the worst thing I'd ever seen.
Just
Anyway,
using,
but that's my point. Is if they were going to roll that thing out, they should have done it in June. Maybe they go push it back another year and do it in June or 6 months or whatever.
it wouldn't surprise me. I'm sure there are like, I know there's been, reshoots on a lot of it, but like, I think after the reaction to the trailer, which at best we could say mix, all the positive things I saw
Tepid,
about it, huh?
tepid,
Tepid, yeah,
tepid. Yeah.
was just how much representation it was. If all the good press is simply about like, oh, look at how there's people that are like people who I guess we normally don't see in movies. Like, if that's the best thing, uh, no one knows what it's even about. No one knows
Hey,
what is happening in it.
Cruella was the first film to ever have a woman in it.
Oh, and I hope it's the last. I'm with you on that one.
No, but that's the point, all right? It's like, oh man, we're breaking all this ground, dude. The
You're
ground
not.
was broken in the 50s, right?
Yes.
And I mean, there were lots of open secrets floating around Hollywood and the entertainment news and the scandal pages and everything else. It's like, this is not new to anybody that's been alive since, the 60s, maybe before that, right?
Go
So,
back and watch Spartacus and the conversation that's being had in the bathhouse.
yeah.
You're not come on. You know what I mean? Like, and
Mm.
that had the Kirk Russell, right? Nope.
Kirk Douglas.
Kirk Douglas, that's the one. Yeah. And yeah, you think he was a big fan of that community? No. I can't speak I'm pretty sure like with
It's just
with a
it's
chin
this
like
weird.
that.
Like I said, my thought is that it doesn't matter, because that's not what these films are about anymore. And you know what? And Kevin Feige leaned into it and has almost said it as much in a
Yeah.
most outright way. So now you're going to have these films now underperform historically in a time when they absolutely need the money from the theatrical releases, because they're in returning to their core businesses. The theatrical releases for Disney was one of them, right? Not the most important one, but they're already alienating their guests at their theme parks, which was their cash cow, and they're going to further alienate their guests on the cruise ships and everywhere else. So, when you take away your immersion, the very thing that you base all of your storytelling on, in service of some form of agenda, you are disenfranchising your
Well,
audience.
So I think in some sense, like after Endgame, like there wasn't. I mean, I'm sure a lot of smarter people than I could think of some ways that they could have went with it. You know what I mean? But it was just such an end to the story that I think by having this complete like lean in this direction, politically speaking, um, is kind of armor that they're trying to put on because when it bombs, because it is going to bomb, they already have built-in excuses for that bomb because they don't want to lose the confidence of the investors, right?
Well, but see, that's the thing, Matt. It's the only confidence of investors that they'll lose are the retail investors like you and me, right? The people that are picking the slates for the board of directors of these companies that are driving this narrative message home. And you're close to 300 Fortune 500 companies that are all participating in this culture shift driven Bolshevik stuff from the frickin' WEF folks and everything else. Yeah, I was careful with that one. Essentially, are they don't mind that they're going to lose all this investment money. You're going to make the value of these stocks decrease because you're going to lose these retail investors because they're now savvy to the underperformance here, and they're savvy to this marketing, and now they're getting savvy to the plot armor, or in this case, the marketing armor that you're talking about. This is not lost on a thinking person now, and as more and more people like you and I talk about it in larger voices on this platform and elsewhere, you can't hide from it.
Well, luckily, Twitter's coming out with Twitter Blue, where you can automatically block people who might have a problematic opinion. But let me ask you, do you think there is a number that like of loss that they could get to where the investors like, you know what, maybe we should focus on the story?
We're gonna start to test the waters there because Cruella, which was a recent film release here, by the time people see this, has been about a couple of weeks at least, maybe a little longer. That underperformed at the box office immediately, and based on the Samba TV numbers, which I imagine are across the board for every streaming apparatus that measures it, that was 40% under Mulan, which was disappointing to Disney for their premiere access, right? So it's 40% below disappointing for Mulan with the same amount of budget because I think Cruella was nearly 200 million. I could be wrong on that. I haven't checked since, but I think that's pretty close, and to me, it's staggering how much this film didn't perform.
Yeah, and I don't think they can use a lot of the current things as an excuse because you have films that are, despite everything that's happening, performing very well. You had Godzilla versus Kong just like break the box office, and it, even though it premiered at the same time on a service for not for free, but that you didn't have to pay an extra $20 to, and still killed it at the box office. Like, what do you say? What do you say to that? You know what I mean? That you couldn't even do what giant lizards and gorillas fighting, like you can't do what they did with $200 million.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch the trends to see how much it fell off week to week.
I thought you were frozen.
No. I'm always looking for numbers, right? So yeah, I was right. Cruella the budget was nearly $200 million, or right at $200 million. Its opening weekend was $21.496 million in the United States. So far to date, it's at $43.6 million in the States, $43.4 million in the worldwide box office. So bringing in a grand total of $87 million, and that's gross. Now remember, gross domestic box office is not actual net for the studios.
Yeah.
Because they share the revenue with the theatrical distribution locations.
I mean, we're not even talking advertisement as well that they had to spend,
No. And yeah, I'm looking at it as like the break-even point for this film is probably close to $500 million.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah.
They ain't going to get there.
But, like I said, while you were looking that up, like, when there's other things out there, like, Kong versus, or Godzilla versus Kong, whatever it was, that killed it at the box office, even though it was released at the same time on HBO Max, which is $4.99 a month. You don't have to spend another $30 for the privilege of watching it.
Yeah.
What do you say to your investors? Like, yeah, but hear us out though. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, Legendary was not really happy, and just so everybody knows, Legendary Entertainment or Legendary Pictures is actually owned by the Wanda Group, which is a Chinese corporation. Was originally started by a U.S. citizen, but it was purchased by Wanda Group outright, and they're the ones who were primarily responsible for that film, and they are not happy with Warner because of the decision to release it on HBO Max, because at the same time as it running in theaters, because it hurt their box office. But even with that, that film had an astonishing box office return, right? And it's because people want to see entertaining movies without a lot of garbagiola in it, right?
Yep. Yeah, like at this point, I think we're even okay if like it's not as long as it's not in your face preaching, like even as subtle, but like movie subtle, you know what I mean? Like we'll accept that. That's okay with us. Just don't hit us over the head with it. I think that's where we are. It's why somebody mentioned earlier on a stream about Love and Monsters on it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Which was not expecting to enjoy it anywhere like at all. But like because I had such low expectations, I think it overperformed for me because you know what I mean. I went in with nothing, and I was like, "Oh, that was very surprising." And like that's all they have to do, you know, to make it. It's so the expectations I think a lot of people have now are so low to where you can make a hit out of almost anything if you just keep it, you know, story driven.
Well, and here's the funny thing: Cruella cost more to produce than Godzilla vs. Kong.
Really?
Godzilla vs. Kong was 155 million production budget.
That's interesting because like you would think that man, how much Emma Stone cost? Like what's her asking price to do a movie? Like I'm a fan.
I don't know.
Like her.
She's probably worth about 8.
I mean, so where's all that money going? I haven't seen the movie yet. Maybe it's on the screen.
Who knows?
That's insane.
That's going to be public information.
What? How much Emma Stone made?
Yeah, I'm looking it up. It's going to be out there.
By the way, her movie, The Scarlet A or whatever, is actually a pretty good movie.
Yeah,
it's not
The
bad.
Scarlet Letter.
Yeah.
And some of the best comments I've seen about it is Cruella is aggressively mediocre. That's one of the best reviews I've seen. I'm like, okay. Because otherwise you're going to get a bunch of shill stuff, which we've been seeing, right? When it comes to Cruella, it's all shill garbage, right? But the audience is like, it's meh. I mean, we had a couple, when you guys see this, it'll have been a couple of weeks since Thomas Gilkey was in the chat for a Sunday Culture Review and said he saw it and he thought there were parts of it that were okay.
Yeah.
That's high praise.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I don't think Disney is expecting much more than that. I feel like, actually, we met our goal.
Our goal was for it not to, lose $200 million.
Do you honestly think that's what it was? Do you think that's their goal now? Do you think they go in expecting to make money? Because if they are, they
should look. That's the problem. Is they are trying to tell investors that that's what they're doing. Leaning into the streaming thing, they're not going to make a profit. They told you up front they aren't making a profit on their direct consumer model until at least the end of 2024.
Was that before or after
No, that was in the midst of all of the bologna sausage we were bumping up against. But it wouldn't matter anyway. And here's the thing they don't tell the investors, right? The retail investors, that they have established a giant churn problem for themselves. And they won't be, what that means is their customer retention at year 3, at the end of year 3, will start to fall off so dramatically that it will stun investors. Seriously. Right now, they are excited that they're retaining 80% of the people from the Verizon deal.
Yeah, I was about to say that's because it wasn't just there's deals everywhere. I mean, you know what I mean? You can't be on the internet without seeing an ad like, "Ooh, get a free 6 months or whatever of this or a year of that." Like, and I I don't
It's
know these
bringing
investor people that are like
man.
almost so oblivion to what is happening around them. Have they never been on the internet? Have they never seen one of
Well,
these ads?
if you look at, well, they must not be. And again, when you look at the ARPU, the average revenue per user, or it used to be per unit, but that for the purposes of a subscriber service, it's per user. So per subscription, the ARPU is below $5, and it went even lower below $5 in this last quarter. Now, they brought on a bunch of countries. This is what everybody was really excited. Oh, wait, they have all these subscribers, but they don't have a lot of U.S. subscribers. I mean, if you think about it, at best they can count on 1/3 of Americans to have Disney Plus, but that's not even accurate either, because a lot of those, like you were just saying, were free. But that drags your ARPU down. When you open up countries like India, you're not charging them the same price you're charging Americans for the service.
Well,
So
yeah,
your
that's how currency works.
ARPU, yeah, exactly. So their ARPU is even lower every time they expand in these domestic markets. That's why HBO Max, with their slow rollout, right, and higher price, their higher tier price is $14.99, and they
Yeah.
just came out with the ad supported one, which is like $10 or whatever, right? So you're going to be kicking in that, and their ARPU with the amount that the subscribers kick is much higher than Disney's,
Yeah.
and so it's just like, if you're an investor, you're going, oh, what? Why aren't we getting more revenue from this?
I hope I don't lose anybody on this, but it's almost like Disney Plus is their Smurf account, meaning like when you play like competitive like shooters, right? Once you figure out the game and you get good at it, you'll make another account. That way you can inflate your stats, right? You'll
Right.
see guys, that come in and you're like, oh my gosh, they have like a 7.2 KDR kill per death ratio,
Yeah.
but they've only been playing for 3 weeks. Well, that's because he's been playing for 3 years. You're just seeing
Yeah.
a new account from him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And in the World of Warcraft, it was called Twinks. They were called Twinks.
that is
You would
not the
deck out. Seriously, that was the term. Yeah. Yeah. I know that doesn't sound right based on today's nomenclature, but what it meant is you took a character that you brought from ground up, so you could
right.
go into battlegrounds with him fully geared, like with gear you bought, like all epic gear, legendary gear,
Yeah.
that meant you owned everybody around you, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
Like,
same concept.
yeah. The kid that like creates a like a player on Madden, but like all of the sliders are up. Like he's a 99 coming. You know what I mean? Because whatever. I have problems with EA as well.
But there's a lot of, but see, that's the problem, is they break their own games. They no, and again, this is a problem with modern storytelling. You're breaking your own story. And this is across all entertainment industries and enterprises now. I mean, we didn't get to talk about it today, but the new Far Cry video game from Ubisoft is about to drop here at some point, right? Far Cry 6 or whatnot.
Yeah, apparently they're not. It's not going to be a political game at all. Like that's what
It
they're
is.
saying.
It's going to be. It's definitely political. That's actually what they're saying. They said it's going to be completely political, but it's not going to be binary political.
Oh, wait, hold on.
What?
That's new. I'm sorry. Is this a thing that people are saying now? It's not binary political?
Yeah, or something like that. Hang on, let me get the quote. I've got it. I may still have the story up.
Well, politically, I'm non-binary.
That's really funny.
Oh my god. But real quick.
Yeah, okay. Far Cry 6 narrative director confirms the game's story will be political, but not a simplified binary political statement.
Oh, so he's saying there's going to be nuance. Like, why did he word it that way? I hate this guy already.
It's a political story.
Okay, yeah, I am not in like expecting a lot of nuance when it comes to this non-binary political story they have going. I think that there's a lot of similarities across, like you said, across like media in general. But like with EA, the monopolization that they kind of created, especially when it comes to American football, like to this day. Yeah, to this day, their Madden series that has came out every year since like John Madden was on the cover like long ago,
way back. Yeah,
to this year, right?
Wait, 25 was like 6 years ago, wasn't it?
What?
Madden 25.
Oh, yeah. It was a few years
So
ago
it's
that they
30,
celebrated
30
25.
so we're like
Yeah,
this franchise like 31 years old.
yeah, yeah. But so EA's biggest competition was 2K, right? Who
Yep.
just rules the NBA world as far as video games, but they also had a football game. But once EA got the exclusive licensing deal with the NFL and the Players Association, right? You no longer could make a football game with NFL with their player
Mhm.
likeness, right? Or the teams. That was in like 2008, 2009,
Yeah.
maybe, right?
Yeah.
There were features that were uh in 2K's football, like 2K08 or whatever it was,
Yeah.
um, that they still haven't been able to do in Madden, and they do a new game every year. It's
Well,
been 12
but it's
years.
not. But is it really a new game?
Well, okay, in a new game in the sense that they either this frustrates me because I love football and I have played Madden and every year I'm like, I'm not getting this year. They're not getting me. And I still get it every year. In fact, I usually pay to have it, I pay more to play it earlier because they have their
Yeah.
hooks in everyone. And I
Yeah. I
know it's
don't.
just gonna
I haven't bought a new Madden game in a few years now because I
uh,
don't need to. I just update my rosters and good to
and on
go.
top of that, the ultimate team stuff, get me every
It's worse.
time.
It's worse and worse. Yeah, don't spend money on that. And you know what you know what the real loss was? The real loss was when they couldn't get the collegiate game going again, NCAA,
Yeah. But
because yeah,
I'm kind of on the player side though. Like, one,
I'm
they're
not.
not going to college for college. If they're, you know what I mean? If they have a scholarship to like a Division 1 team, they're there for football. That is their future. You know what I mean?
Except, yeah, but here's the thing: how many players make it legitimately onto rosters every year?
Okay, yeah, it is a small percentage, but
Yeah,
how much revenue is made from like their not just their performance, but even like their jerseys.
it doesn't
The
matter.
merchandise that is like, you know what I
Doesn't
mean?
matter. Doesn't matter. You in taking that scholarship, said scholarship, you're extracting payment. That's a form of payment. Believe me, a lot of these kids coming out of college, they would love to have gotten a scholarship to pay off the $700,000 worth of school shit that they did at their, premium school.
I get that. I understand that, but I don't think that the even with the crazy amount that it costs to go to some of these universities now, I don't think like that's for a lot of these players. It comes even close to how much money the university is able to make from their skill set.
Okay,
And I'm not saying to play
so
to
so so you-
necessarily
so
pay them
so
either.
here's the thing: going to that school gives them not only an opportunity at a quality education,
Yes,
right? It gives them the opportunity at a future in a professional sports, possibly, but it also grants them a level of exposure that you aren't going to get in an amateur level anywhere else.
but they can't.
So
That
it's a fair trade. It's a fair trade.
but they cannot profit off of that exposure. One, two, it's not an opportunity if it's like basically the only way
Why? Wait a minute.
to
Wait. They're not profiting. You're 100% wrong. They're getting professional grade coaching for if their only future is football. That's
I
one.
meant
That's
specifically off of the exposure because you said their
You're
exposure.
wrong. You're wrong because now you have NFL teams and other professional football organizations looking at these kids. So
Right. I
that's
get
a
that.
form
Yeah.
of it. They're profiting. They're profiting from that exposure. They're profiting from that exposure. It doesn't matter. Again, they signed a contract, and when you say they're also not profiting, they're profiting because their education and their food and their housing and everything's freaking paid for. Everything.
I'm on your side. Like, I'm not saying necessarily to pay them, but I think that there is a way to somehow give like a back end, like, you know what I mean?
Why?
Like from any revenue. Well, one, you're saying they signed the contract. Yes, they signed the contract, absolutely. But that doesn't mean that they don't have to like like, oh man, they took my house. Like, I get it. I signed the contract, but
They made an adult decision,
at
or an adult
17,
made a decision. No, some of them are 18 when they go to. It just depends, but
but
their
yeah,
parents have to make the decision otherwise,
yeah,
right? When you're getting a scholarship, that's a contract, right?
yes.
And if you were ever offered scholarships going into schools, those contracts have elements that you have to fulfill.
Yeah.
right? You have to major in a specific thing. You have to, perform in specific ways. So you're entering into your first adult contract when you go to college on a scholarship, and it doesn't matter if it's for sports or not. That's my whole point.
True. By the way, I cannot tell you how much I hate being the furthest left on any topic. Like this is very weird to me because at a moment, like I know what I'm saying and I hear it. You know what I mean? And I'm not even going to bring up like the labor that they do and how important it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like I can feel like one. I understand what you're saying. I just don't think that this is it. I just don't think that the the power balance between the signee and the signer, like the university, has so much more so much more power and say on what the player, whoever it is that signs, like there's a big imbalance between that.
Some of that's been adjusted in recent years as far as the ability to move school to school. That's been addressed.
Yeah.
But again, just like with so if you go into the military, you're signing your first adult contract at 18. Okay,
Yeah.
you are expected to perform in a particular way. The military profits from your participation, especially if you're in some form of specialty. You're not being paid, for your scholarship other than what's agreed to in the terms of what you are. It's the real world. It's the problem is these kids are being extra level coddled, and it's only in football where you hear this discussion. In baseball, you can go pro right out of high school. Well, you used to be able to in basketball, but the NBA jacked that all up.
Rule because
Yeah,
that makes a difference.
No, it doesn't. What that's the thing is you end up with lamellos and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. But when you look at baseball's model is you can go to school and they will pay for your scholarship to go to school and play baseball. You can go into the draft and then elect to go back to college and play baseball. The draft they still control your rights, right?
Right.
But eventually, you get out of college being a professional baseball player, and chances are you're going to walk into a AAA team and then go pro.
Yeah.
If you go the other way, which you can right out of high school, you can go and get into the draft. You can go and ride around in the bus leagues, and then end up in and then eventually end up in AAA. And then you may, if you're qualified, if you're talented enough, you will make it onto a professional roster. But there are you understand the only complaints you have in these sports right now are football, right? I mean,
because the comparison between baseball and football in this regard is like baseball has such a great and established like way to get up there. You know, I mean, there's levels to it, and you can process through them. With the NFL, though, you don't have that because there is such a short shelf life for a lot of these players. These positions.
But you could have that, and that's the other problem. You could have an alternate pathway, but because of the way that the professional football structure, with only one professional league in the United States that's viable at the moment, although the USFL is coming back, by the way, Fox is bringing that back shortly.
Is that the one that The Rock bought?
No, that's the XFL.
Oh,
the USFL was a product of the 80s, right? And you had
Donald Trump owned a team in that one, didn't he?
Possibly, yeah. And Herschel Walker played for and before he went to the NFL. Yeah. There were a lot of incredibly talented people that played in the USFL that eventually went on to the NFL. So there was another.
Sorry,
yeah, there was
Steve Young too. Yeah, and that was a big deal because, choosing that over the NFL, and it was all came down to money.
Yeah, and then and he did, and then he obviously came up underneath, Montana and became, ridiculous. But anyway, rewinding. So but like I said, this is unfortunately, we'll get back to Marvel in a second. But this is unfortunately because of the monopoly that the NFL has. And the exemption that they get for it, the antitrust exemption that they're granted. And professional sports teams should be granted that, but not to the exclusion of competition. right?
Like
Because because of how they have to structure collective bargaining. So.
And because I mean, it's so cliche to say like competition, it fuels like innovation, right?
It does.
And
It's not
we
cliche.
talked
It's
about
true.
EA and 2K and how like that because they were so motivated by 2K because 2K not only was a better product, it was also like $20 cheaper. Like
Well,
like 2K went for the throat on this.
it was less expensive, and
Mhm.
it incorporated features like you mentioned that still aren't available on Madden.
No.
And they want you to pay for additional crap on Madden all the time.
Yep.
Right?
And what did EA do rather than to step up their game?
They
They just
bought
snuffed out the competition.
Yeah, that's right. They bought out the licensing and said, "Screw you guys."
Yeah.
So 2K could make a football game. They just couldn't base it on any team in the
It,
NFL.
it was still a good game. They did that. They
Yeah.
got like retired players to do this all pro
Yeah.
football game. And
Yeah.
it's a better product. Like there's still people that play it, and you can find it on YouTube videos and how much better from throwing motion to everything. Anyway, but like, and I think that's what we're seeing. Like, it's weird with like HBO Max and everything. Like we're moving from cable to cable at this point because I have Hulu, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, Disney Plus. Like you know what I mean? Like and then the cable company still wants me to have cable for whatever reason with my phone line to the house. Like I even have I don't know what they're called anymore. What were those things called? What were the phones called in your house? Landline.
Oh, landline
They
telephones.
still want me to have a
Actually, yeah.
landline and cable to have internet. I don't need any of those things.
Well, nobody does, but people still like that comfort of having a VoIP line if they need it, or an actual attached telephonic device. Because but if your cell phone doesn't work, but anyway, go ahead.
Well, with the streaming service, what I was getting to was like, it's weird that there is so much competition, but is it really improving anything? I think it's not making the content better like you would expect, like what we're talking about with that competition,
But that's also bred out of the fact that there isn't competition. I mean, you are now getting to the point where the competition to create content is more than the quality of the content. That's where your competition is now. So that's why you get so much subpar baloney sausage and stuff that is written around a narrative, because it's easy to kick out, stuff that makes no sense but speaks to this political thought process, right?
Yeah.
So, and here's the thing. You can now almost in everything that you watch, you can point to the politics throughout the entire whatever it is. I mean, and it's like okay, they're following this playbook, so I know what this is going to do.
You can see it
at the very beginning of it, yeah. So anyway, so back to the MCU, of course, from all of this that we were just talking about. So Black Widow's going to underperform after Cruella underperforms. Shang-Chi will likely break even, but it possibly could underperform depending upon how it's received. Again, these films, in order for them to be successful, they have to have what the industry calls legs, which means that it can't just be about the opening weekend. The opening weekend is big, but it can't just be about that. Mm-hmm. So Cruella is going to have no legs. I mean, because we're at, right now at the recording time of this video, we're at 2.38 weeks as far as you count in
call me crazy. I'm gonna go out on a limb here, but like at this point, 2 weeks, like the it's just drop off. Like the drop off has been immediate. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. So if it gets do you think it gets to 200 million?
No.
We'll see.
even if they kept it up to where you like have to buy it, like it doesn't matter. They're never going to make it that money. But I honestly don't think that that's what they were. I don't think they were interested in making money.
They were back when this thing was put together.
Then why?
You have to remember, they thought this would be a diamond property, right? They were like, "Oh, this is going to be good." And we were talking in the Sunday Culture Review that at this point will have been a couple weeks ago or so, that it was done for a reason, and it's the same theory that Midnight's Edge has, which is they announced a sequel to this was in development to try to push people to go see this film, and that doesn't work anymore either because they've been doing that a lot.
Yeah. Still waiting on that Rian Johnson trilogy. Haven't heard a word about that, but it's coming. I honestly think that Kevin Smith, boy, you want to talk about fall from grace. Kevin Smith always told that story about when he was like writing the Superman movie or whatever, and there was that producer that was married to Golden Hawn that always wanted
I'm still here.
always wanted spiders in his movies, you know what I mean? Even though like it never turned out to be a good idea. That's how this is going. It's like, yeah, they know that doing this is a bad idea, but they just keep doing. They still want this spider of SJW in these movies. So you can't tell me that they're all about making profit when they are the reason why they're not like these movies are failing.
Yeah. Well, again, it's not being done for the reason of profit. It's being done for another reason, which we've talked about earlier in the stream. But anyway, I think we've wandered around a lot of topics. We were really going to just kind of focus on Marvel, but I know we've got to wind this down. I want to say just a couple of things. Number one, thank you for coming on and doing this as this special pre-recorded edition of the Tuesday Tirade Entertainment Talk. And this actually will give Tom a break for a week, which is good. And I didn't require extra time from him, but it also gives you, some folks to get to see us interact in a different way.
You know what? We weren't mean. We weren't mean to each other one time during this whole thing. That's weird.
No, most people don't realize how close we actually are, and so this is kind of a nice thing. They get to see like how we really interact with each other. So
this is a normal interaction with us. Even my girlfriend is convinced that you hate me. Yeah. Like.
Well, it's not true. We are constantly doing everything we can to build MadBarber Entertainment and really, well, it's not for lack of trying, but we have so much fun when we get together, and I'm glad that people get to see on my channel that really it's if you go and watch MadBarber or even a couple weeks ago's Sunday Culture Review, that's not real. It's not, it's us doing a bit or, whatever else, but it's, anyway.
Are we going to break kayfabe? We're breaking kayfabe?
We just did a little bit, but that's okay. I always want as many people as possible to go to the channel over MadBarber Entertainment and subscribe and check out Street Smahtz, which I'm strangely proud of. I don't even know how to describe that.
It's really hard. I've been trying, I do this whole I don't know how you feel about after school specials. I don't remember the last one we actually watched. We were watching other weird shit. I don't know how. There's not an appropriate description for what we do over there because there's a lot of meta to it, and there's a lot of just man, and
when you catch on to the joke pretty fast, though, I will say that
It's interesting. You should at least give it a try. I would say, and I don't think it's asking a lot, no more than 5 episodes of Street Smahtz. If you're not in by then, okay, it's cool.
It's not your cup of fish.
Don't unsubscribe. Just silence the bell. Don't be a complete a-hole about it. But give it at least 5.
It's just a lot of fun. We have a good time, and Mad's a good sport, and fun casino you can see here. Rarely when he hangs out with Mad.
This was the funniest, the most fun casino I've seen in a long time.
Nah, it's been a good time, and I miss hanging out with you. A lot of people will never find the stream we did. The streams, the couple 3 we did early on, were the very first one was just insane.
I did another episode of that yesterday before Street Smahtz.
Oh, really?
And because I know them in real life, right?
Yeah,
they dropped my real name probably 15 times within the first 3 minutes because I thought they were like, "Hey, do we do it or do we not?" I'm like, if it happens, it happens. So they're just dropping it. Anyway,
but somebody, like I said, somebody, No, but we had a genuine blast, and if you ever stumble across some of that stuff, you can tell. But although I think your girlfriend freaked out on the very first time when I was on with those guys. Yeah,
she was texting me to shut it down. She's like, "Shut this down," because you were for real though. You were my real intro into getting onto different streams and stuff like that and having some not relevancy, but like some like people like, oh, like, and I can get onto other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a stepping stool, but one that I still use. Not I didn't step and keep going. Like I'm obviously.
Yeah. Anyway, actually, it's true that you know, but it was so much fun because I was just like, oh, this is a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just leaned into it.
It was great, man. Like,
man. Dude, 40 and still says people in the UK think I hate him. So funny. So funny. Anyway, we're gonna wrap it up. Sorry we went an extra 5 minutes just chatting. I apologize, but it's anyway. Like I said, I'm very proud of what Mad's doing over there at MadBarber. Is there anything you want to promote since we're gonna wind this down?
Man, like always, you know, the Bone Tomahawk. Like there is good content being made out there.
Yeah.
Like it. Kid Detective was such a great movie as well, and that came out not long ago. Paper Tigers. There is good content that's being made that you can find. It's not. The cabinet isn't as bare as what we make it out to be sometimes.
Yeah. It's just the big stuff, the stuff that we grew up with. That's the stuff that's being destroyed.
Oh,
and they're doing it. Yeah.
I have no hope for anything that is being remade. Like the Willow, my God, like that is a personal attack on me. What they're doing, and
and they, like I said, they're going out of their way to destroy your childhood. But anyway, thank
weird.
Yeah. They was. How can we get that Mad guy?
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, Matt, I didn't get your comment for everybody on the thumbnail. What do you think? Pretty good.
You know, like, see, we're like, oh, this is how we normally are. We're not being a-holes to each other. Like that wasn't necessary. Everyone saw it the first time.
I asked you what you wanted to be. You said I want to be on the trapeze, so I put you on the trapeze.
That's not what I was picturing. I was picturing like, remember in Batman and Robin, and his parents died, right? They like look.
You wanted to be a dead trapeze artist?
You know what? Yes, I would have had that over this one. I mean, a Lions team would have been fine. I'm a Leo.
Well, next time, okay. Hey, that I could do that next time. Yeah. Like you putting your head in your you putting your head in the lion's mouth.
Yeah, that would have been better. Yeah.
Okay, I'll work on that. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We had such a thank you, Matt, very much. And like you know, I'm going to end it the same way I always do, just to keep this as tight as we normally do. Be sure to take care of yourself. What's wrong, man?
You know what bugs me with the pause, and you make it longer whenever I'm on here. And I forgot what you have a good one. I forgot what you say. I forgot what the catchphrase is. Sorry.
No, just listen. Be sure to take care of yourself. Take care of others. Wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time.
This is the part that bothers me.
Bye.